She set the kettle over the coals and prayed it wouldn't forgive them. Nasrin's hands didn't shake. The camp shook for her tents shivering in the cold wind, banners snapping like broken bones. The army ringed her in a rough half-circle of steel and hunger. Boots scuffed frost. Blood turned dark in the dirt. She poured water. Leaves sank like falling birds. Steam rose, soft as breath. It curled over helmets and scars, lifting the iron smell from the field. Some men closed their eyes. They thought it was kindness. They didn't know her tea could remember. The general stepped close, shadow long across the fire. His face was a map of old battles, with one thin scar through his lip. He kept his voice quiet, like he didn't want to wake the dead. "We don't deserve this," he whispered. She didn't look at him. "I know." He had taken her from the ashes of her town that morning, after the siege, after the screaming. "We need warmth," he'd said. "You'll brew." And now here she was, the last mistweaver of Iran, making tea for the men who burned her door down. They didn't bind her hands. They didn't need to. The army itself was a chain. She thought of the rule her mother had hissed the night. The soldiers first marched past their hill, never brew for the unrepentant. The steam forgives only what confession unlocks. Break the rule, and the steam will choose for you. Nasrin pinched more leaves. Her fingers remembered her mother's rhythm. 2 heartbeats, release, simple, clean, not cruel. Around her, the men watched the cups. The cups watched them back. "Is it true," someone asked, "that your tea can mend memory?" "It can show you the peace you hide from yourself," she said. "If it wants?" She didn't say what happened if it didn't want. The first pot sighed. The fragrance slid through the circle like a lullaby worn thin by sorrow. The general didn't move. He waited his turn like a common soldier. She hated that about him. The patience. The humility that arrived too late to matter. Nasrin poured. 1 cup, 2, 10, rough hands took the clay, the way a starving man takes bread. Lips touched heat. Eyes flicked, widened, dropped. Some men went still, as if listening to a sound only they could hear. One began to cry without a sound. Another laughed, then clapped a bloody hand over his mouth, ashamed of the laughter that had always come too easy. She poured for the general last. He held the cup like a holy thing. Steam drew lines on his face that made it look younger. He didn't drink. "What will it show me?" "What you deserve. And what do you want me to see?" "My door," she said. "And who kicked it in?" His mouth tightened. "Drink with me." Her heart flinched. She had not planned for that. He lifted the cup higher, inviting, not commanding. The soldiers shifted, surprised. The steam tugged at her hair like a child at a sleeve. She set a second cup down and filled it. The wind leaned in to listen. They drank. Heat rolled through her, but not like any other brew she had made. This was a tide, and it turned inside her bones. The camp fell away. The fire fell away. She stood in a room with white walls and a clean floor and a door that wasn't hers. On the other side of that door, a cry. A baby. Someone sang the old prayer of safe returns, the mistweaver's lullaby, but the voice was rough, like gravel in a river. The door swung open. The general, years younger, no scar, held a bundle to his chest. He wasn't in armor. He was barefoot. His tears tracked straight down, shocked, untrained. Behind him, a woman with Nasrin's eyes kissed the baby's forehead. Her mother, Nasrin's gut turned cold. The steam wasn't forgiving them. It was forgiving her. The vision shattered. The camp snapped back into place. The cup in her hand was lighter. The general set his down, empty, and for a breath his face was naked. No command. No iron, just a man who had walked too long under too heavy a pack. "I did kick the door," he said, soft. "But not yours. Not that night. I carried you out the back when the flames took the rafters. Your mother tied a red cord around your wrist so I'd know which child to save. She made me swear to keep you from the king's oath." Nasrin's throat closed. The king's oath, the brand that binds a soldier's will to a tyrant's. She had seen it burned on wrists like a second mouth. Always hungry, he pulled back his sleeve. The oath was there, black and angry. It spoke without sound, a pressure behind her eyes. "Drink more," it said. "Forget her," He'd fought it to get her out. He'd fought it every step since. The soldiers watched, uneasy now. The tea was doing its work. Some of them were shaking. One fell to his knees and confessed to the ground, voice raw. "I set the barn. I thought no one was inside. I heard," he broke. Others looked away, ashamed, afraid of the rule they didn't know but felt. "Why tell me now?" She asked. "Because your tea can move blame," the general said. "That is the old legend, yes? The steam forgives, but the debt goes somewhere. Give it to me? Let me carry my men." His eyes lifted to hers, and they were steady. "I am already a grave?" The wind knifed through the ring of men. The fire cracked and swallowed a stick. Nazrin thought of her brother Small, quick, always laughing at the wrong time, pulled from the smoke with his hands curled like leaves. She thought of her mother pressing the red cord onto her wrist. She thought of all the mouths she could starve of mercy just by saying no. The steam coiled around her wrist now, warm as a promise, forming the shape of that old cord. It pulsed, 1, 2, her mother's heartbeat. Never brew for the unrepentant, her mother had warned. But the men were repenting. The camp was turning into a chapel of broken truths. Was forgiveness a weapon? Was it a door? A horn sounded far off, thin as a knife's edge. Shadows rippled across the snow, not from clouds, not from men. The steam went rigid. It hissed a word that wasn't a word but a name, and it was her own. Nasrin spun. Beyond the tents, the night tore. A seam of black opened in the hills. Something stepped through wearing the king's shape and no face at all. The oath burned on every wrist in the circle, a chorus of silent mouths, and the generals went white with pain. "Choose," the faceless thing said without lips. "Forgive them into me." Nasrin raised the kettle. It trembled like a living heart. "Nasrin," the general said. He stood between her and the thing in the torn night. "Let me carry it. All of it." Her mother's heartbeat thumped in the steam. Her brother's laughter, small and brave, braided into the sound. The seam in the hills widened. Nasrin took a breath that tasted like iron and rain. Then she tipped the kettle not toward the general, not toward the soldiers, but toward herself. The steam leaped, bright as dawn. Everything went white. "Want the next breath of this? Follow so you don't miss part 2.